To me, those of you who don't know me, I guess I'm known as Mike from Maine down here. I worked with Neal through the mid-90s, early 2000s. We did a ton of projects, houses, additions. We built a building that wrapped around the big thing at Raleigh Ready Mix down there, which was fun. And I remember being up there on the roof, 35 feet in the air with a nor'easter and a blizzard, and looking over at Neal, 35 feet in the air, looking at him like he was crazy and saying, "Really, dude, this couldn't wait?" You know, and he just had to get it done. Jack, I remember you come and bail this out. You remember you were up there, buddy, right? Snow blowing in our eyes. That was great. Yeah. Had a lot of fun with Neal, a lot of laughs. I learned a lot. Neal, everybody knows he was an ace carpenter and he taught me so much, but really the biggest thing that I remember Neal teaching me about life was how he treated people and how he took everybody's desires and considerations right to heart. He always got people what they wanted because he listened so intently. And the one thing I do remember, he always introduced me to everybody and anybody that came by the job site. He made sure he says, "Hey, this is Mike. This is blah, blah, blah." And he did that, and I thought that was the greatest thing, you know. Had a lot of laughs with Neal. I tried to keep it light. I was in my mid-20s. Neal was running the show, and a lot of times it got stressful, and I would try to keep him laughing. And I did a pretty good job with it. But there was always a time, and those who knew Neal knew that when joking time was over, it was over. It was like, he'd give you that look, and it was like, "All right, bud." He even fired me one time. He did, yeah. I showed up for late an hour or so for work, and he fired me. And I looked at him and I says, "You gotta be shitting me, right? After all these years, you're gonna fire me for being an hour late?" And I says, "I'm not leaving." Well, he finally got over it. We got back to work, but I don't think I was ever late again. I have one work story that I think kind of really encapsulates what Neal was all about and kind of our relationship was all about. We were working over at the Herrick's farm, and we did a lot of work over there back when I was with him. And they had this old outhouse. An actual two-seater, right? Honest to God, hers, no waiting, I don't know what the deal was, but it was a two-seater outhouse, and it was rough. And they were like, "Geez, Neal, you think can you save this thing for us, right?" And Neal says, "Well, all right, we'll see what we can do." So we started taking the thing apart, and the more we take off it, the wobblier this building's getting. It's just like, and I start joking around with Neal. I says, "Well, listen, bud, I tell you what, you turn around, and I'll just kind of lean on this thing, and it'll just come down, and that'll be the end of the story. We can get out of this." And he was like, yeah, no, funny. So there he is. He's down in the dirt. Because he wouldn't send me down there, because when I say dirt, you know what I mean. It was a two-seater outhouse. He's down there digging out the sill. I'm handing him stuff, leaning on the door jamb, and I says, "Really, dude, I could just, you take a walk, and I'll just..." He looked up at me with that look that said, "That's it, joking time's over, bud." And so we finished that outhouse for those folks, because it meant something to them. And that's what Neal Conley did for people. It meant something to them, so it meant something to Neal. And that's who he was. Guy was my boss, he was my mentor, and he was my friend. He was all these things, and then he was more. And he actually said it best himself. One time it was lighthearted. I don't remember where we were, drinking a couple beers or whatever, and he kind of looks over at me with a little smile, and he says, "Mike, kind of like your big brother." And I was like, I never had a big brother before, so I'm like, I'll take that. I'll take that any time. So I want to thank Neal Conley for everything that he did for me in my life, because he really he taught me so much, and he meant so much to me. And even through the years, I'd come down and see him once or twice a year. And he was just one of those people who, even if you hadn't seen him in a year, we were friends. And I loved him. I loved him dearly. And I'm gonna miss him, and I'm brokenhearted. I think we're all brokenhearted. Right? Well, we just, you know, and if I'm going to leave this mic open, and if anybody would like to say something about Neal, or either just a story or something, you love them, would be great. I'm going to sing a little song. I wrote it yesterday, so if I F it up, you'll understand. If I break down at the end, maybe you'll help me out, because the last line is, he was a friend of mine. Button-down shirt, giving it all that he was worth. Lord, now how it hurts to have to say goodbye. A helping hand, a ready smile, a stubborn streak a mile wide. I loved working by his side, he made me feel 10 feet tall. And what we must do now is take his strength and carry on. A beat-up truck, an old tin boat. He never bragged, no, he wouldn't boast. He knew this life was so much more than the things that you could buy. And yeah, he always had your back. All you had to do was ask. Lord, now it sure is sad to have to say goodbye. And what we must do now is take his love and carry on. Yes, what we must do now is take his love and carry on. So I'll sing it one more time. Well, he was a friend of mine. Well, he was a friend of mine. Let's all sing it one more time. Well, he was a friend of mine. He was a friend of mine. Yes, he was a friend of mine. Work boots and a button-down shirt, giving it all that he was worth. Oh Lord, how it hurts to have to say goodbye. Goodbye, Neal Conley. I loved you, man. I love you, and I love you still, and I always will.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And if anybody would love to say anything, please come up and say it, because that's how we got to take care of Neal and his memory.